Hi, and welcome, Terribly Fun Films. Thanks to DragonCon and my DragonCon Countdown series, I got to watch a lot of interesting, odd, engaging, or just plain bad movies. Some of these I already owned, like Stan Lee's Mighty 7, the animated film, and the Sci-Fi Channel film Ice or Terror, which I gave a bad review to. But I am a completionist for Sci-Fi Channel films and Asylum films, and that's a different conversation and issue that I'll probably never have with myself. Some I simply discovered while looking people up, and decided that I should get this movie to review, such as The Seasoning House and The Truth About Demons. And in some cases, I've had my eye on a movie for a very long time, sometimes years, and I never got around to buying whatever title it happened to be. Probably for a variety of reasons, such as Dino Wolf, the Gil Gerard movie I reviewed for DragonCon Countdown, and also, for today's film we're going to look at, Paradox. Based on a series of comic books, Paradox stars Kevin Sorbo and Christopher Judge and is awesome and epic. Without further ado, let's see why it kicks so much ass. Sean Nault is a detective who lives in a world remarkably similar to ours. But science has taken a backseat to magic. Yes, magic. And he's not that good with magic. He doesn't trust magic. He doesn't think he can answer all your questions. Somebody can mess spell, somebody can counter a spell. So when he gets involved in a murder case with weapons that are able to pierce magical protection and kill a man, he starts to question, where did this unknown weapon come from? How was it made? And he discovers there are alternate dimensions. Each dimension is slightly different, but mostly the same. In his dimension, magic is common. The other dimension, our dimension, no, not so much magic, but science. What shot the dead man was a gun, a regular gun from our world, brought into that one. And then it becomes a race against time to figure out how it got here and if they're going to be killing anybody else in this world. That's about all I'm going to say for the plot, because it does hold some nice surprises, and the title makes sense. I know Paradox has been used as a title for several films, TV shows, books, comics, musical albums. You get the idea. It works in context. The film was written by Christos and Ruth Gage, who are also the creators of the comic book, which probably helps quite a bit that all the characters are very well defined very early on in the film. You see them, you kind of know the type of characters they're playing. And I don't mean in a, oh, this is a cliche kind of way, but like, when they start talking, what they're saying, how they're saying it, how they're moving, has very definitive, this is who that person is feel to it, if that makes sense. And that just helps you get sucked into the world all that much more, and is kind of great. It's one of the really good things about the film. The other really good thing is they keep the movie moving. There's very little downtime. Never dull. never a moment to really stop and think and take apart plot holes, of which I'm sure there are a few. There must be. But I couldn't tell you them off the top of my head because I got so engrossed in everything else going on. Some of the dialogue is exposition heavy in a somewhat clunky manner at times, such as having a 130-year-old Winston Churchill, yeah, you heard me right, explaining to Kevin Sorbo about certain elements of their world. Not our world. Their world. The fantasy, magic-using world. Kevin Sorbo was born and raised in that world. He would know about these things. So, but that's a really minor nitpick when the plot's this engaging, the action moves this quickly, and the characters are so well defined. The film was directed by Brenton Spencer, who has a decent history of working with Kevin Sorbo. He directed a few episodes of that show Andromeda. He worked on the film Never Cry Werewolf, which was a sci-fi werewolf film with Kevin Sorbo and Nina What's-Her-Name from Vampire Diaries. And he does a good job. Again, blueprint, script. The person bringing that sort of thing to the forefront is the director, and he keeps things moving well. He shoots it like a neo-noir movie, and that's the right way to go, I think. It pays homage to the classic noir films of the 1940s and 50s, and that genre was super big. But given its comic book origins and the fantasy realm the movie takes place in, they get to have some fun with that. The hat, for instance, the way you interrogate people is by casting spells. So there's little touches that make it a little more interesting and unique that help this feel very fleshed out and engaging. And the director does a great job of bringing those moments forward and making them feel fresh and like this is a living, breathing world. The editing by Nicole Ratcliffe is also quite good. Again, momentum, momentum, momentum is the name of the game with this movie. It just keeps going and going and going. And due to the strong, engaging plot and the interesting world, that's the right way to do this, I feel, because I am interested. I want to see more of the world. I want to see this thing or that thing. At one point, we show up at a basically what I went to a Pegasus farm, and that's just really cool to see. Nothing's ever too quick. Everything seems to work out nicely. I do have one small complaint, though. A lot of the big scene transitions in the film are done by turning the screen into a comic book image and then flipping the page so we go into the next one. And that only would work occasionally for me. I get why they kept doing it, to keep the comic origin, to make smooth scenes so you know we're in a new place, new area, new time, very easily. I just don't know if it was 100% necessary to do it that way, because it did take me out of the film. We get so engrossed in the world, and then bam, oh, that's right, and you know, it's a movie, fantasy, based on comic. Maybe that's just me, maybe other people won't have a problem with that, but it did kind of take me out of the film when it would happen. It doesn't happen for every scene transition, just some of the real big ones. Curtis Peterson's cinematography is good. The lighting's really, really strong. Lots of magical lighting items and that sort of thing. There's a really cool sequence where Kevin Sorbo walks into Winston Churchill's mansion, and the camera's just looking around behind him, and it swivels like this, and the house is just empty, and you feel isolated. Kevin Sorbo's in that shot, and that shot's awesome and great, but most of the shots are competent and well lit. The set and production design by Jacqueline Miller and Michael Nerminsky are flawless. This is where the movie shines, no little nitpicks even. Everything about the way the world looks, the rooms, the spells, everything about this is fantastic and awesome, and I love it. Christina McQuarrie's costume design, equally as impressive. She gets to play around with a lot of the noir character archetypes and tropes in terms of how they dress and look. And there's some fun to be had there, adding interesting elements for the fantasy world, playing it up a little bit, making everything slightly larger than life, giving it some flair. Really fun stuff there. The music for the film was composed by John Sierra and Paul Michael Thomas, and is excellent. It underscores each and every scene perfectly. Playing Sean Nault is Kevin Sorbo, and he's really damn good here. Not to say Kevin Sorbo can't be a great actor in other films, and he only has to play the somewhat simple, not stupid, but very basic-minded Hercules type characters. He's really good here. He gives a speech to the female lead character, I'll get to her in a moment, about how he doesn't trust magic, how he can always tell if a person's lying based on eye movement, sweat, jitteriness, and that sort of thing. And it's delivered with passion and empathy, and it's a damn good speech. And this is legitimately the best acting I've seen Kevin Sorbo do in any film to date. Unlike somebody like Castor Van Dien, Patrick Muldoon, I have not seen the vast majority of Kevin Sorbo's films, so there might be something out there that will blow my socks off acting-wise more than this. But as of right now, this is it. He's really, really well cast here. The female lead is Lenore, and she's played by Steph Song, who's also really damn good here. She and Kevin Sorbo have a nice, easy chemistry. It's fun to watch them partner up to solve this mystery. Her ending lines are fantastically delivered and really hit the emotional note the movie strives for by the time you get to that ending. I hope there's a sequel, but given that this film is 7 years old now, I doubt that's happening, but dear God, that would be awesome. Christopher Judge also will be at Dragon Con. He plays Captain Papillo, who is the fantasy world version of your police chief type guy. But there's never a sequence where he tells Kevin Sorbo to turn in his badge or anything like that. They have conversations about the case. He accepts that Kevin Sorbo does some things without acknowledging him first. I really love the way this character is written a lot. They avoided so many cliches, and they just had a lot of fun with it, and that's fantastic. More importantly, Christopher Judge is having a lot of fun with it, and he gets a few small action scenes scattered throughout the film, and that's just kick-ass and fun to watch. You heard me mention that there is a 130-year-old Winston Churchill as a main character in this movie. He is played by A.C. Peterson, who does a really good job as well. He mumbles a little bit, and he gets very wounded. Not mortally so, but still bad. And there are some points where, when he's talking as he's, being treated, or just after being shot, that he's a little too mumbly to totally understand. But given the circumstances, I'm not sure if that's bad acting or meant to be the point. But it does make some of those lines a bit difficult. Overall, I'd say he's a lot of fun. He brings a great sense of charisma and larger-than-life epicness to the character. And you really need that given things that happen in the film. I don't want to give too much away. Now, this movie, low budget. And that's a bit frustrating due to the number of special visual effects this film utilizes. This movie has a sequence where a black leather-clad assassin bursts through the ceiling of a house riding a Pegasus, flanked by minion demons, basically, and a magic battle ensues. I'm not describing a Harry Potter movie, mind you. I'm describing a low-budget film, and so I love that they did that shot, despite their limitations. I love that there's a Pegasus farm. I love the way the mirror shatters. I love the look of their cell phone communicator hologram thingamajiggies. I love it. But special effects look cheap. Even by B-movie standards, they do not look realistically rendered whatsoever. And mind you, I'm not saying I want my Pegasus to look like a real horse. You need to have top tier, big budget studio type money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the Asylum has created a popular franchise with their mega sharks here. And that shark, even in the first film, looks better than any single CGI creation. Here, because it at least looks wholly rendered and looks like it roughly fits in with the rest of that universe. Every CGI element in this film that isn't the holograms or magic casting of spells and whatnot. So basically every CGI creature looks like it does not fit into this world because it doesn't look like they actually finished it. There's a layer or two of texturing that needs to happen before it's actually done. And that is a noticeable, sometimes jarring effect. Sometimes jarring, mind you. There are sequences that are just so interesting and engaging, like the one I just talked about, that you're having so much fun with the action and the characters that you don't mind. But there are times where they go to interrogate somebody at a Pegasus farm, and it looks real bad. Doesn't totally work. Paradox does have issues. Those issues come from budgetary constraints, though. Every single thing you heard me complain about does not stop the film from just being original and engaging and kick-ass and shockingly effective acting. And I highly, highly recommend watching Paradox as soon as possible. So, thank you Dragon Con, and thank you Kevin Sorbo for letting me discover this film. As always, I've been your host Bobby. I'll see you next week with another movie I discovered because of Dragon Con.